Hello, good afternoon once again. And we are now signing in once again from the University Virtual Classroom. And this is to remind everyone that this this is just for the exclusive use of the University of Mindanao virtual classroom purposes. So today for our subject GE2, we shall be discussing um, another topic related to improving our communication skills, and that is primarily to uh, know-hows on how to do public speaking. So let me share this one. So this is intended for weeks 10 to 13. So unit learning outcomes ULO, which is to describe the nature and importance of communication for work purposes and apply it to uh, business, health, education, science, and social media. Letter B is to employ the character in the workplace or work ethics, as what we call it. And letter C to reproduce the basics of writing technical reports such as application letters, resume, minutes of the meeting, and the memo or the memorandum. So our ULOA, our big picture in focus for today, is how to describe the nature and importance of communication for work purposes and to apply it to business, health, education, science, and social media. So this is where we put these principles and concepts into work by applying it into work. So in order for us to proceed, we have to understand the definitions of these major terms that we'll be encountering within the lesson. Number one, the definitions and descriptions of communication for work purposes. So we have a lot of these definitions and descriptions. So let's begin with letter A. So work communication is the procedural manner of giving and exchanging both ideas and information. Also, both verbal and nonverbal between one person or group or another person or group within an organization. So letter B, when you say work communication, it is immensely significant to various organizations because through this efficiency and productivity tend to increase. And I believe this is also backed up by a lot of studies and research. Letter C, communication in the workplace plays a significant role in companies to become efficient and productive. Letter D, employers who love to spend time and energy in creating open communication lines will quickly produce trust among employees, resulting in productivity, performance, and overall self esteem. And letter E, an employee can experience increased morale, productivity, and commitment if that employee can communicate up and down a company's communication chain. And letter F, employee who communicate effectively with his or her colleagues, managers, and customers continue to be valuable assets to a company. And of course, that's our goal to be good employees. So this really is relevant for all the graduating students or those who want to become professionals in their fields. Letter G, on the other hand, poor communication in the workplace will unsurprisingly lead someone to non motivated working staff that can begin to question his or her confidence in his or her skills and organizations. So, what do you see here in the picture? So, you see two people who are connected to each other through communication. So there are five reasons why communication in the workplace are important to reckon. Okay, so first we have innovation. Okay, this will manifest when employees may have the opportunities to express themselves openly, their ideas without the fear of being ridiculed or retaliated. So thus, innovation depends highly on this, and an organization that encourages communication is more likely to be advanced. Okay, so uh, innovation is trying to create something new to address new problems that we have in the company or in the organization. So that's why we need to communicate your ideas to other people for you to be understood. So letter B, we have growth. So communication can be seen internally and externally. By associating himself or herself internally and by establishing strong communication lines, he or she ensures the consistency of the externally delivered message. Each growth project is based on solid communication and the fact that all internal or external stakeholders are on the same page. That's the reason why there will in the upcoming days we'll be discussing internal communication like correspondence. So that's how important progress reports are or other technical writing reports is to keep abreast with what's going on and to inform especially the decision makers of what's going on within the organization. Okay, letter C, effective communication. So if those in the executive or administrative positions are strong communicators, there's no single reason why they can't better manage their teams. So when you are a strong communicator, it is much simpler and easier for you to delegate activities, to manage conflicts, to motivate and build relationships. So effective communication does not only define people, but also give them the opportunities to talk to each other and to one another. So strong communication channels are indeed very essential. So look at our very own president, Rodrigo Duterte. He loves to speak to the people. He loves to go around the country. He loves to speak to the military and meet with them. He wants to motivate them. Look at the war we have in Marawi. Soldiers are even actually giving their lives for the fight. You know, they don't move back at all because they were motivated by the presence of the president himself being there and communicating to the generals, communicating to even the soldiers and motivating them that the president is with them and he will support them all the way. So that's why what happened in Marawi is really far different from what happened in Mamasapano. In Mamasapano, we see a breakdown in communication between the president himself, who knows nothing about what's going on in the field. They could have used a lot of resources to overcome a particular objective. But what happens is because of the breakdown of communication, 44 people, specially trained soldiers, died in battle without the support of uh, other members of the military or even the police because of the breakdown of communication. So the same goes with every organization or companies that if there's a breakdown of communication, if somebody does not know, "Oh, I don't know what happened or I don't know about it," then they could commit mistakes that might cost not only himself but the company as a whole of a lot of bigger consequences. So that's how important effective communication is. Then letter D, we have team building. So the making of effective teams requires communication. It requires understanding and mutual cooperation. So if he or she will be effective in building effective teams by employing strategies that are effective, such as those listed below to improve communication, obviously this will increase the determination and satisfaction of employees. So that's why No matter how good you are on what you do, if you don't know how to play by the team, if you're not a team player, if you don't know how to cooperate, then the organization or the team in itself will have a problem attaining that particular objective that you want to set. Okay, so the same goes with any team for that matter, like in a basketball, like even it's not only the coaches that need to communicate to the players, even the players need to communicate among themselves. And there are times when players rise up the occasion and become coaches for that matter, like in the case of LeBron James and other superstars who sometimes uh, does the strategizing for the team. Uh, so whenever it calls for something like that, okay, so but the goal is to succeed. It doesn't matter where the ideas come from. Okay, letter E, giving a voice to all. So when employees have the voice to be listened to by the top management, this will give him or her the assurance of being confident and satisfied. So to voice out his or her precious ideas or opinions and suggestions or even complaints, so consolidated communication lines will give wondrous opportunities for everyone to communicate freely with his or her colleagues or peers or even superiors at any level. So for example, incorporation does not incorporation does an employee and interdepartmental survey every year and tries to implement at least 70% of the changes or recommendations that are being suggested by the employees. So if you have that experience in working in a company, do you remember when the time when the ideas of employees were solicited through surveys? Or do you think you were heard of those complaints of yours or stuff like that? So it is important. One reason why Duterte succeeded in the presidential election is he is the only presidential candidate who went around the country not to do a speaking tour before the elections, not to do a speaking tour, but to do a listening tour. Think about that. I've never heard of any politician who had done that. He went to all the provinces in the Philippines, or not really to all, but to major areas of concern. And what he did there is not just to speak to the people, but he gave them a chance to speak up, and he listened, thereby giving him an idea of what this area needs, of what this place needs, or what's the priority project to be given if ever he makes it as a president. So that's what happened. After he won, he began acting on those concerns right away. And even until now, we can still see that he still has his hands full in terms of doing a lot of changes within the country. So, and we felt the sincerity of the president by those changes, like the online appointments in government offices. So it really had cut the red tape within those offices. Like you can go, I experienced it myself when I renewed my visa. No, my passport. It only took me 15 minutes to the Department of Foreign Affairs because I did the online reservation thing. And the same way with my driver's license, I think when I renewed it, just it was fast, and there were no red tapes within the government, no waiting time. Not there's still waiting time, but not much compared to before when you have to line up as early as dawn to finish your transaction within the morning. What else? We see a lots of infrastructures going on, like the what they call this, the coastal road, the new train stations or train railways. In the next 3 to 4 years, we will feel more of the changes in infrastructure nationwide. So that's because of the giving voice to all. Everybody has the chance to voice out, even those who are not legitimate, like complaints. So still, they have the freedom to do it. So they were given the chance. They were not shut up by a particular rule. So you can voice out your opinions in YouTube or etc. But in within the organization, it helps if every employee, no matter the rank you have, still you can write a letter to the president, or to you can inform your direct supervisor about the problems within your workplace, and that's a really good, a healthy sign of good communication within the company. Number two, effective ways on how you can improve communication in the workplace. So we have the source here. Okay, these are explanations of some of the key areas where organizations can increase and develop communication within their teams. Okay, first is you have to include everyone. So someday you will have managerial or supervisory positions, and you have to really remember this. Yeah, so to give assurance or guarantee that the communication lines are always open. Always search and actively update and promote progress reports and project updates. So this will benefit remote personnel. Okay, so everybody has the chance to listen and to be heard. Okay. Then listen and show empathy. So communication is a two-way process where one speaks while other listens, or vice versa. If she or she doesn't listen to encourage dialogue with the other party, then no job or person can survive for a long time. So this means listening shows respect and allows someone to become familiar with the extraordinary problems that he or she may have to solve as an employer. So this is the difficult part, especially when you heard rumors in advance about what wrong the person has done in advance. So if you hold your peace and give the person a chance to explain and listen without any form of biases or prejudices, then that's a very good sign of a good leadership. Okay, so listen and show empathy. That means you put yourself on the shoes of the other person. Okay, I'm so proud of our dean in the College of Arts and Sciences, because she is a person who listens to the issues of both sides and decides accordingly based on her conscience. So I really salute our Dean Casey Concepcion on that area. Okay, letter C. It helps define objectives and expectations. So managers should provide clear, manageable, and achievable goals for teams and individuals that define what is exactly required for a particular project, and that all of the team is aware of the objectives of the project, so of the department and the workplace as a whole. In so doing this will boost the confidence and potentials of workers or employees. Okay, so especially on this pandemic, probably the goal of each company is to keep everyone safe. So keep everyone healthy. So how do you do that in these challenging times? So it includes the cooperation and unity within the company. So there has to be clear objectives and expectations. Each and everyone should wash their hands, should wear masks, or even uh, face shields upon entering the workplace, in order to avoid uh, what do you call this, contaminating the area or even infecting each other. So that's what happens today with as of this time of speaking, with the Hall of Justice. So they had employees there who had been infected by the COVID-19 virus. So what happened is the whole area, the whole of the justice was on lockdown. So that means even those healthy ones were affected as well. So it's not just those few individuals who were infected. So there should be clear objectives and expectations. The same way with objectives referring to sales or to the types of service that you. So it has to be clear for everybody. I remember there was this president of the United States who visited the NASA facility, and then he asked one janitor within the facility, and he asked the janitor and said, "Hey, Mr. Janitor, do you know what your purpose is in this organization?" And the janitor said, "Yes, sir. I'm helping. I'm helping send a man to the moon." Even though his job is just a janitor, but he knows his purpose. That in the overall objective, he is helping send a man to the moon. Okay, so it was clear, even for the janitor, in that sense, of what his overall objective is. Letter D, send your message clearly. Make sure that your message intended is clear, accessible, and most of all, understandable to the desired audience. So to do this, it is important that you speak clearly and respectfully. In other words, to transmit your message clearly without misunderstanding or fault. This is where editing, or what they call this, editing, revising your work would come into play. I had adjusted the volume of the music. I hope it doesn't. Okay. So this will be particularly applicable on the written communication skills. Okay, moving on. Choose your medium carefully. So after the message was made, he or she needs to make sure that if it's in the best possible format or at his or most convenient. Like you have to decide, should I write it as a memo or should I send it as an email or as a technical writing or informal or formal letters. Okay, so nobody can deny the fact that face-to-face communication is the best way to build trust with employees. So it is not always a choice. Giving him or her ample time to think and decide if the given information or data on a printed copy works better than an email, or whether a general note is satisfactory. For example, you cannot just resign by speaking to a person or to your superior face to face. You have to really put that in writing. I remember when we had a faculty meeting and we had the senior vice president in present in the meeting. So I when we reached the portion of concerns, other matters and concerns, I rose up and spoke in the microphone and told them about our problems regarding telephone lines in the University of Mindanao. I suggested that we should have telephone answering device to accommodate outside calls. what the what the senior vice president said, that's a good idea, Rodel, but you have to put it in writing. Make a what they call this, make an incident report about that so that we can include that in our directors meeting. So I was disappointed because, well, what I spoke about, what I did was not enough for the complaint to be accommodated. I really have to make a written complaint about it. So, which never happened. So therefore, until now, my concern was not addressed accordingly. So that's, I think, it's a good example. But if I wrote a letter about it, probably the management could have done something about the issue. Okay, so next, understanding communication. Where are we? Communicating effectively for business. So effective. Wait. This is now for business. Okay, so I think we stop here. We'll discuss this on the next lesson. So we will discuss each of the areas where communication is used. So we have business, education, health, and other stuff. So we leave that up to our next lecture. So keep in touch, keep on playing these videos and reviewing them at your convenience. And God bless. Bye bye.